Hi, my name is Esther Bartkiw. In this video, I am going to share with you a bit of my personal journey, how I turned, I don't love myself, I don't even like myself, I actually loathe myself, into deep self-love. I'm also going to share with you a client story that shows how the work I do with people just like you actually changes lives. And I'll explain the method I use for over 2 decades now to help people create real, lasting change at the level of belief where it actually begins. If you have ever wondered who I am, who my work is for, the results you can achieve, and whether this might be the right next step for you, this video will give you that clarity. For a long time, people thought I was doing amazing in life. They thought I was confident, adventurous, successful, that I had it all together. And on the outside, in many ways, I did. But inside, I didn't like myself. I was deeply insecure. I was hard on myself, my body, and carried beliefs about not being lovable, not being enough. And eventually I realized how much those beliefs were quietly shaping my life. That realization came in my 30s, during a moment that changed absolutely everything for me. I was at a chiropractor appointment when he looked at me and he said, "Esther, why don't you like yourself?" Now, I laughed and deflected like I always did, and I said, "Of course I like myself." But then he had me do some muscle testing, repeating simple statements like, "I like myself," and "I love myself," and every time my arm dropped. He looked at me and he said, "Your arm is dropping because you don't believe what you are saying." And that sentence shook me at my core because it was true. All of it was true, and I had never seen it so clearly before. I left his office visibly shaken, went home and had a very honest conversation with God. I cried out for help because I couldn't keep living the way I was. And within 24 hours, what I call magic, miracles, and synchronicities happened in my life. I stumbled across information about beliefs creating reality. And something in me knew this is it. And that moment set me on the path that I've been on ever since. As I record this video today, I have been doing core belief inner healing work for over 21 years, using the same process that helped me change my own life to help others do the same. This isn't a job for me. It is a calling. It is my purpose, and my purpose found me. I want to share with you a story about a woman I worked with many years ago. She came to me feeling completely defeated by life. Her marriage was falling apart. She felt unloved, unworthy, disconnected from herself. She was overeating, drinking too much, and felt like a shell of who she used to be. And then she told me something that you would have never expected. She said, "Esther, my dream is to be a competitive bodybuilder." That dream was alive inside of her. And I told her clearly, I can help you achieve your dream. Not by fixing her, not by analyzing her endlessly, but by guiding her inward to discover and change the beliefs that were quietly running her life. Beliefs that said she wasn't good enough. Beliefs that said she didn't deserve more. Beliefs that said her dreams were unrealistic or selfish. Beliefs that held her back from taking a chance. And as we did the inner work together, and this piece is very important, she also took action steps to support her dream. She started going to the gym. She hired a personal trainer. But most importantly, her relationship with herself began to change. She left a marriage that no longer honored her. She found community at her gym. She rebuilt confidence from the inside out. And yes, she went on to compete in multiple bodybuilding competitions and made it to the podium. She later became a personal trainer herself and a spokesperson in that world, and she is still living that lifestyle today. That transformation didn't come from forcing action. It came from changing the belief systems that shaped how she saw herself and what she allowed in her life. And this brings me to the heart of my work. What I do is not about fixing you. It's not about labeling you or endlessly analyzing your past. The foundation of my work is a modality called core belief engineering, and it is focused on identifying and changing the belief systems that shape your reality. Because what you believe determines what you accept in your life, what you allow and what you tolerate, what you think is possible, how you move through life, and what you create and experience. Many of your beliefs were formed in childhood, during times of emotional shock, or in moments where you felt powerless or unseen, and they quietly run in the background of your mind. You can be intelligent, capable, and successful, just like I was, and still feel anxious, stuck, disconnected, or like something inside of you is always pulling against you. That doesn't mean something is wrong with you. What it means is that there is a misalignment between who you truly are and what you believe about yourself. So here's what working with me looks like. Before we ever meet for a Zoom session, we start to get very clear by email on what's not working in your life and what you want to change, what you're willing to do to achieve your goal. In session, I guide you through a very gentle question and answer inner process that works with both the conscious and subconscious mind. We work with parts of you, not to get rid of them, but to understand them and bring them into alignment. Every part of you exists for a reason. So for example, about parts, if you drive, you definitely have a driving part. That part knows how to drive, how to get you from where you are to where you're going, even if you have zoned out. And that same part might feel calm on quiet streets, anxious on the highways, or frustrated when other people don't follow the rules. All of that information matters in order to have you successfully drive. My work is about turning inward, listening, understanding, finding out what is happening inside of you, and helping your parts support you to where you want to go rather than sabotage you, instead of running outdated beliefs from the past. Sessions are spaced 4 to 5 weeks apart intentionally so that the inner change created during a session can fully integrate through being, observing, making new choices, and taking real action steps. And I don't disappear in between sessions. You are encouraged to reach out with questions, comments, celebrations for reflection, and to stay engaged in the process. This work is for a very specific kind of person. You don't need to be spiritual. You don't need to believe in anything esoteric. You just need to be willing to turn inward, listen honestly, and take responsibility for your life. The work that I do is not for people who want to be rescued, continue to be a victim. It's not for people who want someone else to fix them. And it's not for people who are unwilling to engage in self-responsibility. It is for people who are able to turn within and receive messages from inside of them. For example, those messages may come in the form of images, pictures, sounds, words, phrases, flashes of color, your internal talk. We do need that as a baseline in order to proceed. Also, this work is not clinical or medical in nature. If someone is experiencing a mental health condition that requires a psychiatric or clinical support, this won't be the right fit. and I encourage you to go and work with a qualified mental health professional. But if you're listening to this and you're feeling that quiet inner pull, that sense that there is something more for you, and you're willing to engage honestly and consistently, this work can be profoundly life-changing. Because when your belief system changes, life responds in a beautiful way. If you would like to watch and hear more of the full story of my personal aha and transformation, more client stories, and a deeper explanation of what it's like to work with me, I have left the link to that video in the description box below. You will also find there information on how to book sessions with me or reach out by email if you have questions. I work with people who are committed to their change. There's no pressure, no convincing. I'm looking for resonance. You don't have to settle for just getting by in life or watching other people live the life that you want to live. Real change is possible, and it begins at the level of belief.